One of the people I love speaking to about AI is Jeroen Bos from PR.co because he is a technologist. He's been on the show before and he's innovating like everyone else is to try and adapt AI into platforms. And I love chatting to him because we do some really good brainstorming about where AI can go and what's happening now. But the first thing I should really ask you, Jeroen, is just with PR.co, we were talking about this a year ago, and my gosh, AI has changed in a year, hasn't it? I mean, what have you focused on in that time?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like when it came out, we recognized it, but never expected it to go so fast.
I'm so good at the progression.
And so good as well. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like just seeing that the first ChatGPT window work was really impressive. But seeing where it is right now, like we're so much further already. It's really crazy.
So
If
what
you
have
look
you
at
done in terms of
what is done
yeah,
for
this
this,
year?
so we actually started really small with a couple of functionalities, and then so wanted to see how people would react to it because there's a lot of hype around these kind of things, but we want to first get some real data.
Yeah.
And we first created something to allow people to generate their own headlines and summaries. And that really took off. Like we had like a Slack channel for a company, just saw everybody generating all these headlines every day. And it was so popular. So we were like, okay, we really need to jump fully on this and we can really help people with this. Because on one hand, we felt like, yeah, we always assumed like our customers are the ones that are writing. They are writers.
Yes.
So we don't want to sort of get in the way of that. So want to be the ones that even pretend to be able
Yeah, but
to replace them
really,
or
didn't
something.
we? I mean, it's like we're
Yeah.
you and I are both creative people in what we do, and yet when you've got GPT by you, it's hard not to use it because we all. I mean, I was talking to someone about this the other day. We're all fundamentally lazy, aren't we? And we love something that helps us do our jobs. So it's kind of
Yeah,
it's
like
not a surprise, isn't it?
yeah, for me, sort of the shift in the mindset happened when I started using AI for programming, and
Yeah.
then that's something I'm really passionate about myself, and I've been doing that all my career.
Yeah.
And also, I would never say an AI could replace what I'm doing. Like I'm too good at this, and I know what I'm doing. But then I started using it and using their AI agents, and it was actually writing code for me while I was sort of looking over its shoulder and giving it the right instructions on where to go. And then I was like, okay, wow, this is really where this whole industry is going anyway, regardless of whatever your profession is. This is really, really impactful. So that's when we also made a big shift and said, okay, let's go all in on this AI technology. Yeah.
So where are you going to go with it? Because one of the things I'm asking people about, and I mean, I was saying this before we were recording, is I've been speaking to various different platforms, and I'm hearing a lot of promises, and I'd like to kind of see them in action because it feels like AI can do anything. And it's almost a bit of a question of, well, how far up that ladder are we now? Yes, potentially it could do anything, but how far are we? I mean, what can we do with it now? And how are you applying that to PR.co?
Yeah. So first of all, we're not like really for like as a first step to like start aiming replacing entire jobs or processes in companies. We're really trying to like help and assist. And that is like really getting into that lazy part. There's a lot of tedious jobs that PR people need to do and need to make part of their work. And that's stuff we can easily help augment or like at least bridge the gap between the amount of effort that's necessary to get the required outputs. Besides that, like generating text or translating text, that could be really useful, but then still the goal should be really good first drafts. And that's what we really want to focus on. So
Yeah.
it's always going to require a human to finish it. And what's really fun is like if you give somebody an empty page or if you give somebody a text that is not quite good yet, it's so much easier for a brain to wrap around that sort of not finished text yet and start finishing it. Or you start staring at a blank page. Those are the worst and the most
It's much easier to
difficult starting
subedit,
points.
isn't it? Yeah.
Dude, so a lot of people approach AI as like, oh yeah, this thing needs to generate a perfect press release or a perfect article. But that's so difficult, and like it's difficult to get all the right context in to make it happen. And people are gonna want to have that feeling as well that they created something themselves anyway. So that's why that sort of is our first goal. So it's all about helping people start from a brief to a really good first draft. Start helping them suggest new content. We're thinking of making a smart template, so that would be saying this is an article that recurs every month, for example, or every week. Let's make that a smart template. And then the only thing you actually have to give in terms of instructions is just, hey, what is different from the normal type of article that you're sending?
Okay.
And now
One
with
of the things you were
those, it
saying there,
augments that thing to the new
yeah,
version.
one of the things you were saying that struck me was the fact that particularly if you're in an organization where you've got a huge trail of stories and things you put out in the past, no one wants to sit there and crawl back through that to try and find that one nugget that you said a year ago about some project, which you kind of go, we all know this feeling. It goes in your head. I remember something about something. And this is
Yeah.
the amazing potential of AI, isn't it? You can kind of say, well, we did something about this, or you were talking about how it could pull in information from the past and help you construct something for this year.
Yeah, something really interesting I've been talking to with somebody recently in a call has been the idea, like, what if all the documents and all the, like, the Microsoft Teams or Slack messages and all those kind of things from your company would be indexed by an AI, and you could sort of query that and be able to, like, um, or even it can even suggest like interesting PR content, daily runnings within the business. So what if it could tell you, like, hey, there's this customer that was really delighted by this thing. Or, hey, there's this new conversation that was currently being held about these topics that could become like a really good press release, for example. And there's more monitoring sort of within your company, which could be really interesting. And that's sort of like, yeah, that's what you just said, really sort of sparked that idea.
Times that the other thing fascinating me, I was trying this with the ChatGPT, was I took a really dull press release from PR Newswire, one of these sort of financial statement type things or progress things, and I put it into ChatGPT, and then I pasted in an article from the Daily Mail, and then I pasted an article from a football reporter, and I said, now change this story to match the different styles of these people, and it still definitely needed some massaging. But my God, it was really good at pulling out what that angle would be interested to either side. I mean, that to me feels like, again, it's that kind of first draft thing that you were saying.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's exactly what it is. And you can always take it to the next level, and that's going to come as well. But for now, I think that's a really good first start. And people are trying to get to that 100% point, and that actually makes it worse and gives people. And also gives people the wrong impression that suddenly this thing is going to take it all over, or is going to do all the work for you. And that's not how it works. That's not where we're at yet. But it's really fun to see what's already possible.
You're a very clever coder, so maybe you've got an idea on it. I mean, are we ever going to get to 100% accuracy?
Yeah, that's a good question. Like, the question is then more of a,
is it possible?
where should the human be still in
Yeah.
process kind of story? It's like, is it a strategic level? Is it on an execution level? And like all these kind of things. Then you get, but yeah, that is it. Can it be done? Yeah, 100%. At some point.
So it can. So you think we will get there?
The question is, what do we want as a?
Well, yeah, but you kind of feel if it's technologically possible, people will do. But you see, one thing I wonder though is that it's a bit like ChatGPT has a lot of Americanisms to it, because it's probably coded largely on American data. So if I was living in, I don't know, Taiwan or something like that, it's not going to be as culturally relevant to my audience as it would be in America. And so this is where I see that even with a kind of perfect system, we're still going to struggle to get that perfect thing for every market. Well, until the world has one culture, which is never going to happen.
No, that's true. But that's already the case with a lot of technology right now, of course. Like, if you look at programming, for example, it's largely an American kind of, has a lot of American vibe to it. And a lot of the terminology that you use and a lot of the concepts are very Western and American based already. That's already interesting. And any technology that we use in terms of a digital world has already been transformed by that.
So how far do you think we can actually get then? Because I don't know, I just see that as being, even if we achieve, in quotes, perfection of the AI systems, we're still going to have that problem. So I don't. It's still going to.
I think that's something that could be part of the. Really part of the AI. Like, I think that understanding that and making sure that it all gets executed properly. Yeah, that's like looking at like in the future. But like, if you look at all the data that needs to be compiled for that and taken into account, I think that makes a lot of sense still. If you look already now, if I talk to ChatGPT in Dutch about Dutch topics or Dutch society things or language, even, like, it's really good, right? Like, it's really impressive sometimes that I'm like, okay, well, it knows all these little intricate details about our culture or the way we talk or the way and the jokes that we make.
So it's all processing power, isn't it? Yeah.
In the end, that's how all these models come to be. Yeah, and that's where all the big investments have been made. Although DeepSeek, I think, was a few million, and then they had a whole model up and running.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, at least that's what they say. That's what they claim. But nobody knows what the real number is.
So spilling the beans on PR.co, what's next? I mean, what have you got in mind? You know, where are you going to go with AI on? What are you going to do with the platform generally?
Yeah, so we've got one, at least for this whole year, we're going to only focus on AI for the whole year. That's the plan. And that's all the product work that we're going to be working on. And we're going to be incorporating a media monitoring system as well. So we're going to be able to pull in a lot of data. So if there's one thing that's really important for AI is context. And getting as much context along with your AI functionality to get really good results. So we're going to be pulling in a lot more context from our customers, all the context from all the data they've already created of the content, plus the media monitoring and maybe some other stuff from the outside. And then we're going to be really focusing on generating content, making people's lives easier, but also reporting back to them on the results that they've got. And so right now, you don't go everything sort of manual raw data. And people have to sort of sift through that to make their own conclusions, but we're really going to be able to trying to help them make those conclusions and report back to them on the value that we're generating for them.
So what would be your holy grail for the end of the year? If you can get it, what's going to be, what does Jeroen want from PR.co?
Yeah, that's a good question. We started out really vague by saying, okay, at the end of the year, you want to stand at a point where we stood 1 year ago and be like genuinely impressed. That was sort of the way I relayed it back to the team. But yeah, I would say like, it should have like a whole set of tools that people use on a daily basis. That's the most important thing, because there's a lot of AI out there that nobody uses. And we're just going to be launching a lot of stuff and then seeing how it sticks, how people use it, try to improve it. And if people don't use it, just get rid of it again and keep on churning new things out that really make people happy and delight their daily jobs. It's going to be around writing. It's going to be around reporting. It's going to be about time saving generally. And then, but for the long term, we're going to really want to make it also sort of really an intelligence where we can actually help our customers also more in terms of thinking about what kind of content what could be next, suggestions about where to go, or maybe even a really good knowledge base for content that they don't make on a daily basis. Like, for example, if it's a crisis communications kind of scenario, they need to put out a statement. This is not something they do every day, that we can help them, again, create a really good first draft. And that's what we really want.
Yeah, that's a whole other topic. I was talking to someone the other day who said that crisis comms could never be done by AI, but I wonder if some of it can be. Joe, as always, we've run out of time. There's so much more we can talk about. So with the speed of AI, we must check in more frequently, because I'm going to be fascinated to hear how it goes during the year. But thanks so much for joining us. I mean, it's pretty obvious where people can find you, but where can people find you?
PR.com.